Hi, I'm Julie from the Single Mums Business Network, for those of you who don't know. And today I'm speaking to Michael Ray, otherwise known as Charlie's dad. Now, Michael and I connected on LinkedIn, which is a fantastic tool for connecting with people in your network of similar interests. And we connected over a post that was talking about flexible working, I think. And in our first message to Michael, you said, I'm a solo dad raising my daughter whilst writing and speaking to various groups and organisations about our journey and the change in gender equality, societal gender expectations and workplace issues that are currently in a state of flux and how dads need to be factored into flexible work options, wellbeing initiatives, etc., plus how this will affect my daughter's future. Which is great, because we all want to make a better future for our children, don't we? And that's why we're making noise now. So introduce yourself the way you want to be introduced, Michael, and let's have a quick chat.
Hi, Julie. Hi, everyone. Hope the weather's better over there than what it usually is.
Miserable. Floods.
Yeah, great here. 30 degrees, sunny.
Okay, let's stop this interview now. It's been lovely talking. Sorry, carry on.
That's okay. And we don't mention the cricket, do we? The Ashes, apparently, anymore. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yes, what can I tell you, Julie?
Watching this.
That's okay. Yes, so one of the things that I've become passionate about, mainly because it's affected me, I'd like to say that I was some woke, aware, woman empowering guy all the way along, but it wasn't until the diversity and workplace issues actually affected me that I became aware of what had been going on for years for many women. And rather than it being a gender issue, it dawned on me that it was the expectations and responsibilities that had been assigned to the gender, mainly children, that were the problem. So that's what started me down this path of equality.
Great, okay, because there was, on your website is fantastic, and I would encourage anybody to look at it, but specifically, single dads, because they'd certainly be able to relate to the abundance of information that's on there. But you had an incident where your daughter was in a show at ballet.
Yes, Charlie's 3-year-old ballet concert, and it's just been my daughter and I since she was 2 years old. So she's had no contact with her mum since 2. We did 3-year-old ballet, had the concert, was great. Dad was a teary mess as usual, watching it, getting teased by, I often refer to them as the other mums, but getting teased by the mums about being a big softie. 4-year-old ballet concert shows up, and all the literature that's sent out with the details of the concert, it's all the way through it. It has mothers are expected to ensure that the ballet bun is done this way. Mothers need to ensure that the lipstick is this colour. Mothers need to be available for the full 3-hour dress rehearsal on Friday. And there's a special Mummy and Me ticket offer. And then right at the bottom, and there are no males allowed in the backstage area. So when we had the little meeting, I had to say to them, well, any questions? I said, well, I've got one, Miss Jess. I have to be in the backstage area. And she said, well, why? And I said, well, I'm Charlie's dad. I've got to look after her. And Miss Jess said, well, if, you bring her to the backstage door, we're more than capable of looking after her. And I said, well, that would be fine if you were going to look after all of the children. I understand if there are no parents, but I'm Charlie's only parent. And then I was asked, does she have an auntie or a nana? I said to them, well, she's got all of those, but I'm her parent. So, I'm not sure if they're available, but it shouldn't be an issue because I'm her parent. Then they said, well, it's a child protection issue. We've got our child protection policy in place. And I explained to them that I have what we have here in Australia is called a working with children check. I was a swim teacher for 18 years. And so I'm qualified and licensed to work with children on my own. then they said, well, no, it's not about you, Michael. It's about the other kids being uncomfortable. And that's why I said, well, you're right. It's not about me, Miss Jess. It's about my daughter being the only child backstage without a parent. So when Charlie looks around, she's going to go with a parent, with a parent, with a parent. Here I am on my own. And this isn't a matter of me being some sort of father's rights or men's rights activist or anything like that. It's just a matter of sticking up for my daughter. So she was right in what she said. It's not about me. But then she said, oh, you need to consider the other girls. And I said, well, shouldn't it be that the other girls need to consider my daughter as well? It can't be a one-way street of, consideration and concern. And there are also 2 boys in the class. So I said, if it's okay for all the boys to be around all the women getting undressed or changing costumes, because there was no one that needed to get undressed. You turn up with your tights on and you just put your costumes on. I said, well, surely they should have their own area. They dug their heels in, and anyway, it hit the news and we're all over, went international, we're on all the local news, and they eventually rescinded the thing. But this was at a time when, as a country, we were debating the Marriage Equality Act. And that's why I said to them, this is a great opportunity for you. Soon you're going to have 2 dads, 2 mums, a variation of whatever. You need to get on the front foot here. You're meant to be the bastion of the liberal arts, contemporary societies led and all the rest of it. And you're saying that somehow this is in the too hard basket. And once it hit the media, they changed their mind. And that was the start of this realization that, gee, had I been with a partner and I was a stay-at-home dad, if she had to take 3 hours off on a Friday simply because there was no real equality, and say she was on a time-sensitive job and it was going to affect her employment, these are the things that actually hold women back more than anything. It's because they're tasked with the main role of raising children. And I, I struggle with the term primary and secondary carer even, because even that term, it has the potential to damage or devalue the relationship not only between father and child, but also between mother and employer. It's like, well, you're primarily a mum, you're secondarily a worker. And the same with dad. Well, you're primarily a worker, but secondarily a parent. It's just...
That's the attitude, yeah.
Yeah, it's wrong. And it's not helpful to anyone, especially now here in Australia. 1 in 5 single parent households are now fathers. So, and yet we don't have change tables in men's toilets. And the inference from that is, well, changing nappies is a woman's job. Why do it?
Yeah.
And I get a lot of people say, yeah, but they've got parents' rooms. They do, but they still have change tables in women's toilets and not men's toilets. So again, it's the inference that while women are mainly the ones changing nappies, and occasionally if men do it, well, we've got a parents' room.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's something that didn't occur to me until we spoke, originally, because obviously as a woman you don't notice that they're not, that the men haven't got the equal opportunity to care for their child in the same way like that. And so we've got a lot of learnt behaviour that really needs to be unlearned. There are two parents. It's as simple as that. It's not for everyone, I know, but it's still the majority of men have the freedom to work. And, it's for the woman then to try and find this flexible working in school hours. Whereas I think there'd be a lot more uproar if it was a given that women would go to work and the men had to find the work in school hours. Then I think they would be complaining a lot more about, well, hang on a minute, why is my pay being reduced 50%? Because I've got to, I've been a, well, let's use me for example, if it was a guy, it's like, well, I've been an estate agent on 30k for 10 years. You're not telling me now because I've got to work in the school run, I can't be an estate agent anymore and I need to go and work as a cook or a cleaner for minimum wage. I think if the roles were reversed, then I think there would be a lot more uproar. And when we spoke, I was keen to speak to you because the stigma is very much, when you're a single dad, people are like, oh, why? You know, how do you do it? Do you need any help? Da, 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 da. But when you're a single mum, you know, it's very much a, okay, you're one of those, or there's a lot of shame to it, there's a lot of stigma to it. People don't really not sympathise. I mean, we don't want sympathy. I'm sure you don't want sympathy, but there is a completely different mentality from a single mum to a single dad, and the expectations of the family to rally around and things like that, which we'll go back to with your event with your mum. But what really impressed me again when we spoke is the way you explained that when you're given praise for doing normal parenting duties with Charlie, you find it annoying that people praise you for that. So can you just
Yeah,
explain that again for me?
well, exactly. I've got so many great mum friends who roll their eyes, and you're on television again. Why? Like, you're just a dad. Why? And that's why I say to them, I agree 100%. I'll go out and it'll be like, you know, oh, hasn't mummy dressed you up nicely to Charlie? And it's, well, no, I did. Oh, aren't you amazing? It's because I got her shoes on the right feet and managed to do a French braid. Or, oh, you didn't do her hair. And that's why I'd say I've built cars from the ground up. I've run businesses, started them from scratch. A French braid isn't a biggie, and it doesn't make me a good parent. And the same with mums and things like that, where they say, oh, we do it day in, day out. And that's why I say to them, yep. And I feel for you. You know, when we see David Beckham kissing his daughter, and it's, oh, what a fantastic father, and isn't he great, and all the rest of it. I'm sure he's a great dad because he's involved and he's present. His kids mean the world to him. But praise him for the stuff that matters, not because, you know, all dads are like that. Not only dads, but mums as well. We're all united by the one common thing is we're doing our best. So to have a go at somebody, oh, he's got it easy, she's got it easy, we don't know what struggles they are. But like I say to dads, you know, I love you all to death and I'm rapt that you're stepping up, but I'm not going to fall all over myself because you behaved like a parent. And I don't want people to fall all over me because I acted like a parent. The
Yeah,
main thing, the reason why I bring attention to it is at the moment it's uncommon and people see it as unusual. I want to get rid of the unusual and I'll wear the uncommon until it takes off. You know, it's nothing. As a father, I'm not doing anything different than any other parent does. And so once it becomes normalized, it's going to be like a lot of people who now come out as gay or, you know, announce their sexuality. It's like, who cares? And that's eventually how the single fathering and even fathers being the primary or the main caregiver, that's how eventually it's got to be until we've been bombarded with it that much that it's just, and like, you know, what's your point? You're a dad, you're a parent. There's no difference.
yeah, you're a parent, and these days, you know, it's so different these days. It's not a woman staying at home. You know, women can work, men can work. They're both parents. They've both got the same responsibilities for thinking about what's going on with that child. If you praise one, if you praise the man, what you're effectively doing is reinforcing that deep psychology in people that he deserves
Yep,
praise because it's not actually his job. You know, so
exactly.
we've got to stop that, like you said, and just say, look, you're both parents. You know, you both got equal responsibility. You both need to have that flexibility at work, so neither one of you is penalised professionally.
I
And
think what's happened is because I used to be a lifeguard examiner, so I used to train the lifeguards, and the biggest problem we always had when training them was stopping them rushing in and putting themselves in danger. So not knowing what had happened to the person, whether it be a gas leak or electric cord, or they'd see someone down and they'd rush in, and first thing is to fix that, think they could fix that problem. I think what has happened with a lot of the equality and inclusion efforts to start with, it was about, well, how can we help women work? Flexible work, part-time work, all of these things, quotas for workplace, you know, involvement and everything like that. But what's happened is we've just made it easier for women to work outside of the home while still doing all of the work that they used to do inside of the home.
mm,
Because without a concurrent effort for dads to go, well, all of that work that was going on inside of the home by mum, and now she's doing all of this work that we've enabled by putting these policies and initiatives in place to make it easier for her to work outside of the home. Somebody's got to go back in and take up the load. Otherwise, the load on women has just become ridiculous. And now it's got to the point where we go, right, there's a lot of information about unpaid work, domestic duties, the majority of it done by women and everything like that. If you balance up the amount of work that men are doing outside of the home versus the work that women are doing on their part-time and inside of the home, there's only a couple of hours difference, but men are locked into that breadwinner role because of the income they get versus the smaller income women get for the trade-off in that flexibility has caused that, it just has embedded the problem even further. Whereas if we made all workplace initiatives for equality gender neutral, men must have it, women must have it removes that flexibility, then as families, as couples, as businesses, we can work out, this is what works for me. I want to stay home. My wife wants to work. She wants to work. We have that discussion amongst ourselves and we're going, right, well, I'm going to work 30 hours a week and she's going to work 30 hours a week because our boss has to offer it. Whereas at the moment, men have maintained, men's lives don't change a lot after they have children.
Yeah.
Women drop out. And the countries with the largest maternity leave have the biggest wage gap as well, because it's so much harder. The longer you're out of the workforce, the harder it is to get back into it. So men have their 2 weeks here in Australia, 2 weeks paid leave, and I think it's only about 5% of men even take the full quota of it, because as men, we've drummed into us, a good dad is a breadwinner. You provide for your family, you do all this and all the rest of it. But the research shows that income isn't correlated with great psychological well-being, emotional things for kids. It has a slight impact on educational or academic outcomes, but that trade-off between are we better off working more and being away from our kids, the data just simply doesn't show that. As long as it's not in poverty, there's no real benefit for further income. So we need to reframe where, a good dad is a present, involved, nurturing dad, not somebody who works 100 hours a week to provide stuff that we don't need.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody say that they, it's great now because we've had social media, we've been able to see other people's lives in more detail for around 20 years, I think. I mean, it's nice because we're seeing lots and lots of stories of people on their deathbed and what they've shared virally, and it's nobody's ever said that they're pleased with those choices. They chose to work 100 hours a week and not see their family. It's always like, well, I wish I'd been more present. The money in the bank doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. And I agree, somebody once confused my ambition. I'm very ambitious. I'm not ambitious to have, abundance of material things like, fast cars or it's not materialistic ambition. It's ambition just to be able to manage money comfortably. That's ambition, and then to actually have a quality of life. That's the ambition. So people are getting ambitious, and like you said, we've got this we're feeding into this belief that you send your children to private school, you give them a great education, you pay for this, you make sure they can apply a deposit, but isn't that just kind of painting over the cracks? Because what you're then doing then is feeding them into the society that we've created. You are helping them survive in the society that we've created, where you've got to have private education to do well in life, or you've got to have, a mortgage paid off so that you're not living in relative poverty for the next 30 years. What we need to do is we need to stop painting over the cracks, and we need to get back to where my child is going to be okay if they go to state school and if they and they can afford to just buy a house on a normal salary. We've got to undo this mess and get it back right down here.
Yep. I agree 100%, Jill.
We've got so much going on. So coming away from, so we've got the equality business. Now, coming to speak in the UK, we'll talk about that in a minute, because I know you've been invited over to the UK to do a talk. I know you need a couple of more gigs to make that viable for you, so hopefully we'll share this a little bit. Because the thing is, it's not just about this equality, and it's not just about gender equality with you. you know, there's more to you than that. You're a personal trainer, you know, you're a very masculine guy, you've got a history of, you know, you've been a misspent youth, you say, and you've been shot and stabbed, and you've toured with rock bands and security, and you've got a really kind of, and you're a dad in later life as I'm a mum in later life, you know, so we've lived and we've made lots of mess and made lots of noise, and, you know, you're a masculine father fighting for equality, which is so refreshing. And the reason I say that is because a lot of my connections are also really good mentors working with people who are currently in that youth, which could go either way. And I think it's really important to have these positive role models and to say, do you know what matters at the end of the day? I mean, the way you are now, your humanity, the way you're connected, the way that your daughter has changed your world, just as my daughter has changed mine. We've got so much to share. Now, so I think, you know, I think you'll be a great speaker for anywhere in the UK. We've got so many events going on, and I hope some people get in touch with you about that. But you're a single dad. The same
Yep.
problem with me. Now, you was asked to speak at a gig on a Sunday, and they didn't expect you to take your daughter.
Yep. And
But
it was
you
on the other
were
side.
about being a single
Yep.
dad.
Was on the other side of the country. So a 3-hour flight. Gave them a fee and said, and I'll need 2 tickets as it's on a Sunday. And they balked at the second ticket. And I said, well, I'll be bringing Charlie because Sunday's her day. And I said to them, I don't mind coming over the night before and you put me up, or we can do the over and back. So a long day for Charlie. And they said, no, well, you know, 1 ticket, and we don't see why we should be paying for the second ticket. Can you reduce your fee? And I said, no, fees as it is, I add value and things like that. And they were actually getting me to talk about family-friendly workplaces and work practices. And I said, here's an alternative, because she came back and said, no, the managers said, no, we can't do it. Are you sure? And I said, well, what about we do a remote teleconference? So I can do it from one of your Melbourne sites, because it's a huge chain. And then we can go about talking about the reason it's happening. And Charlie can either walk on stage at the end of the thing when we talk about family-friendly workplaces and how easily small changes, just being accepting of people's circumstances, can retain your staff, make people value their jobs and feel appreciated more. Or if we do it via teleconference, then we can go, you know, with technology and remote working and all of these things, we can factor this in. So rather than wait for the need to arise, what about doing a quick audit and saying, where are our opportunities to offer this before it's needed? Because I honestly believe we should be doing audits as workplace and having the government incentivise and go, you know what, by 2030, we want you to be able to go, right, 30% of our workforce have flexible work options available. And we'll go, and we'll give you a payroll tax deduction or something, need to incentivise it so that then they can take it up. So if you're a family and you've got somebody in construction, the male, which is normally a male-dominated industry, and someone in retail or something like that, he can choose then to work from 6 until 2 o'clock in the afternoon instead of from 8 till 5, and the mum can do the later one, so that you could wipe out all of the after-school care, all of the child minding, all of the things like that, because dad could do the morning work and the after school with the kids, mum could do the before school with the kids and after school, or however it works, so that then you could go to your employer and go, right, my wife works over at Joe Blogs, I work with you, she's going to apply for that, I'm going to apply for this, and then the two of your both employers could go, yep, we're happy with that, and we could split the shifts, and it would just have a massive impact on.
It needs to happen. It needs to happen for couples. And I find this is where we've got a little bit more of a block as single parents, because obviously we haven't got the before and after split. We absolutely need to fit the childcare into. Some people are lucky. Some people have got, you know, family and friends that they can call on. Now I've got family and friends, but not that they can commit to anything. You know, the occasional early drop off is fine, and the occasional pick up after school is fine. But on a continual basis, that's not an option. So, it has to be, my daughter's childcare doesn't open until 8 o'clock in the morning. And if you're not there by 5:15, you get fined another £5 or 5:30. And if you're there at 5:30, you're in big trouble. You know, you're upsetting a lot of people, and you know this is going to be a massive issue. So
Here in
really,
Australia, they charge $1 a minute
well,
for late.
and it's so easily solved though if we can just work in those hours. Yeah, I mean, I'm quite rural. I need an hour to travel anywhere, so 9 to 4. But the thing is, like me, there are probably a million other, at least, single parents, and then more parents that are in a relationship. For the sake of 7 hours over the entire week of work, what we've got is we've got a society needing benefits. And it's not because they don't want to work, it's because the only job they can get, you know, in school hours is just a, you know, really low paid job that doesn't.
We've stumbled into a system or a society that doesn't support optimal parenting. And optimal parenting underpins everything. All of our crime, substance abuse, mental health, not only for parents, but for children and all the rest of it, stem from less than fantastic parenting. We've got stressed, anxious parents doing their best, their absolute best to try and raise kids who, guess what? They're turning out stressed and anxious, not connected, and all the rest of it. But we're in that system. All of this is in place from a time when there was one stay-at-home parent and it was workable. So the 9 to 5 was great. You know, Dad went off, saw the kids a bit before school and after school, and Mum usually stayed at home and did all the home stuff. Dad came home to a cooked meal, the shopping was done, all the rest of it. It worked fine until all of a sudden we've started to go, well, I want a bit more. And then women started to find their voice and their courage and go, I don't feel fulfilled with this. You know, why did I study for all those years at just primary and secondary school? And now I've gone on to college not to use it. And because they've gone, right, well, I took 5 years out while I had children and, you know, I studied. Now I want to get back into it, but everything that I learned has changed because I've been out of the workforce so hard. So it just keeps reinforcing and making it harder to get out of that system. But I think the single biggest improvement for gender equality in society will be when men are held equally responsible for raising the next generation. That will shift everything when it's not automatically a woman's job. And we have a lot of, and like I say, once I became a father, I just wanted to be nothing but a father. And I understand it happens. I've had some women friends who are doctors. And the minute they've had the child, I don't want to, I just want to be a mum. But we've got to have the choice. It's got to be as easy to go one way as the other. It's not, you know.
100%. 100%. You know, I mean, we could talk about this for hours. We really could. You know, it's such an important subject, and we're so passionate about it. We could talk about it for hours, but I know anybody watching the interview is not going to want to watch it for hours, so we're going to have to wrap up it. So just moving away from the work thing then, something I find personally frustrating as a single mum is this kind of people are very uncomfortable with you being single and they want to get you into a relationship. And I know when we spoke before, because we spoke before the interview today, I know that you loved up now and it's wonderful and you've met your soulmate and it's brilliant, but you were, the 5 years before you were with her, you were happy single. And everybody was saying, oh, you need a woman. And like me, I need a man. And I don't need a man. I mean, you know, that's what they're saying. And they're like, oh, you need to marry a rich man or buy the lottery. I'm like, gosh, no, I'm okay. I'm going to do this on my own. And the frustrating thing is really the inability to just have a normal play date or just communicate with people or have a coffee with somebody without they're thinking, oh, she's single. This must be a pre, you know, whatever words failing me, but you know, it's been when you're in a couple, you can just relax with friends of the opposite sex, but when you're single, it's hard to say, oh, can we just come over for a play date? Because they're going to think, oh, well, is he tapping on to me or is she tapping on to me? You can't just.
I had the exact same thing, but opposite. Whereas people were suggesting you, oh, you need a rich man so you don't have to work, as if you weren't capable of it. I would get, oh, she's lovely, she loves kids, she would be a great mum for Charlie, as if I wasn't capable of being a mother. So it was the exact opposite, because all men can't be good mothers, and women obviously can't be, have a good career and earn their own money. So you need someone rich, and I need someone maternal.
Yeah.
And it was just maddening. And, friends had put me in some horribly uncomfortable situations, thinking that I would be appreciative of it. But I was just rapt to be able to focus. And when people say, oh, really hard as a single parent, I say, well, no, because all of my effort goes into myself and my daughter. I don't have to maintain a relationship. I don't have to be considerate or polite, or all of those extra efforts where we've got social occasions with the girlfriend's friends and, girlfriend's family. It was a lot more condensed and easy to handle. And it was just, I didn't have to be considerate or think of anyone else. Not that that's a problem or anything like that, but it was just, it made sense. Also, because Charlie's mum left suddenly and without warning, I couldn't take the risk of Charlie getting attached to somebody and then having it not work out, because and also vice versa, it wasn't fair on the women to let them get attached to Charlie if I was going to not carry through with it. So I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to stay single and enjoy what I've got. The funny thing is, I think 99% of any woman that actually was interested, they were more interested in being Charlie's mum. It was more about Charlie than me.
Yeah.
And it's not great for my ego to think it's mainly because of Charlie. So it just didn't work out. But then I've met the most wonderful, impressive woman that I've ever met, and unfortunately she lost her daughter at 4 years old in a car accident. So when I found out, my heart broke for her, and I thought, you know what, this girl is a great role model for Charlie. She's a solicitor, accountant, she's studying psychology, she's a world record weightlifter, like, just, she's my superior in every way. And the two of them together are just amazing. The first time we went out to a carnival, I was walking behind them, tears running down my face, just thinking about what she'd lost and what Charlie had lost, and how well it had worked out. So it's worked out, and hopefully I'd say we'll get married this year. So the solo dad will be gone, but
you kept that one as a secret.
She doesn't know yet. It's okay. We spend weekends at her house and weekdays at my house. So yeah.
Do I need to cut that out now?
No, you can leave it.
Oh, so exciting! It's not so exciting because it's just so romantic, because you wasn't looking for somebody. This is when it's real.
Yeah. I was actively working against it.
And people, and me too, I work against it. And I think the message beyond's heartbreaking. That's so lovely. But the message I think I want people to take from that is, please don't put pressure on single people to hook up, because it doesn't make us desperate just because we're single parents. We're perfectly happy, and let it be as authentic as it ever was. I once worked somewhere and a guy said to me, oh, get with the guy next door. And I was like, I'm not interested in him. He said, what's wrong with you? He's single, he's professional, he's about your age. Why wouldn't you? Like, I just need to take, I was like, just because I'm single married doesn't mean I'm not exactly the same in terms of relationships. When I meet someone, it's going to be authentic. Anyway, I am so excited to hear that.
Thanks, Julie.
Oh, wow, I'm so excited to hear that. I want to watch your space now. So what I'm going to do, now, is there anything that you want to talk about that I've missed? Speaker. I think really we need to let people know that you're up for a couple of gigs in the UK, and we need to make it clear from the off that you're a single dad, so they need to take that into consideration, and Charlie will be coming with you, right? Yes. And that needs to be factored in. And same, with me, if anybody wants me to go anywhere, please respect I'm a single man. and it needs to be in the hours that my daughter's in childcare, and if not, then we're both going to be there, right?
Yep.
So anyway,
you know, there's also another couple of initiatives I think governments could put in. I would be destitute if it wasn't for my mother. So if the government was to say, you know what, if you want to live in the same postcode as your parents, we'll give you some sort of land tax relief or rates relief or something, because it enables you to care for your parents and enables your parents to care for your children and free up childcare places. But we subsidise childcare here. I think the average place is around $110 a day for a childcare, and the government will rebate about $40 to $45 of that. Why not give that $45 to our pensioners, our grandparents, free up the childcare places, and let the people on the pension earn a little bit more money?
yeah.
The other thing, if you want to build a granny flat in the backyard, or have your parents move in with you to facilitate an easier thing, things like that, the government could incentivise. It would reinforce and strengthen the family bonds. But I think we've all become a bit disconnected. And
exactly, we are, and there's so much that can be done, and not just with parents, because obviously some people have got relationship issues with their own family. But what we have got is we've got an abundance of retired folk that are actually quite lonely. So again, you know, with this pressure that has to be registered childminder that the government will have, well, can we not be more, like I said, we just need to connect as the community. You know, different countries have got it spot on with their tribes, and there are women here, but I just don't know them. If I could connect with a couple of and I obviously there's safety issues there, so I don't want to stereotype, but you know, for me it would be a grandmother figure, and you know, just to have somebody who could just help me with Kaylin, so I could go to some early meetings or after school or something like that.
I'm going to send you a link after this to a series called what is it, Old People's Home for 4-year-olds, that they did here in Australia, where they took 4-year-olds to an old people's home, and they studied them through a one-way mirror, and the increase in the oldies and the benefits for the children. It was just like a real, real emotional.
I think you guys did it first. I think a couple of places did it here, and it works really well. We really need to build on that. We've got an abundance of old people's home. We've got an abundance of children that need care. It completely makes the sense to put the two together for a couple of hours in the evening. So, or ideally, we want to work. You know, we want to work sort of 30 hours instead of 37.5, and just earn a proper salary and get a pension at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, you know, the equality, you know, let's let parents be parents, let mums and dads both be, you know, hair braiders, and you know, there's lots to be done. I could talk to you all day, and I could let you speak all day. I'm gonna have to go, because I think we've been talking for a while, haven't we? So I respect people who want to watch it. Let's end. So your website, Charlie's Dad?
No, michealray.com.au.
Is that the one?
It comes up as Charlie's Dad. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll put a link on when I share it. But you know what it's like, these things get shared outside and then it might get lost. So, and then, so, you know, if you're a single dad, don't whinge about it, sort it out, do what Michael's done. You know, if you've got something that you want to air, then set up a website and talk about it. Or, you know, if you feel like you're missing out on a community, then set up a community. You're as capable as anybody else. And if you're a single mum, come and talk to me. All right? Australia, England. Okay. Michael, it's been great talking to you, and I'm delighted, you know. With the
Thanks so much, Julie. Likewise.
We'll see you in the UK when you get a couple of gigs booked up.
That'll be it. I'll let you know as soon as I'm there.
Lovely.
Thanks, Julie.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.